From the makers of Fear City, New York vs. the Mafia, comes this new stylish 3-part documentary series about the efforts to bring down the boss of the Gambino crime family, John Gotti. Nicknamed the Dapper Don for his penchant for expensive suits, he was loved by the media for his quips and brazen behavior, despite the Mafia's supposed need for secrecy. He lauded his money and power while staring law enforcement in the face, and beating a number of charges before they eventually doubled down on him and his associates. This ability to win trials, with a mixture of good representation and jury tampering, earned Gotti a new nickname, Teflon Don. No charges would stick to this man, and many witnesses were reluctant to testify against him, in fear of their lives. The Mafia owned New York in the 70s and 80s, and were untouchable, making law enforcement up their game. What this documentary does really well is the way it takes the audience on a journey of how they eventually managed to get the better of Gotti, with clever surveillance work. It looks like a stylish heist movie, as we get an insight into the many schemes they plotted to get access to the hub of the Gambino crime family's criminal activity, the Rave Night Social Club. It's so visually pleasing on the eye, with stylish split screens to introduce the main players in the investigation, using old footage of them mixed with new interviews from them. This perfectly shows how long it's been since this investigation took place, but it's still so fresh in the minds of the cops and lawyers who brought Gotti to justice. The documentary can't be accused of being one-sided, with some fascinating insights from the criminal fraternity as well. Episode 1 focuses on the biggest crime Gotti took part in, which was the slaying of the man he would go on to succeed in the Gambino hot seat, Paul Castellano. It features actual black and white photos of Castellano's slain body, showing exactly what sort of monster Gotti was. The man himself didn't actually carry out the murder, but he planned it to the finest detail. Episodes 2 and 3 deal with the failed attempts to get Gotti, despite the superb investigation into his crimes using wiretaps and other forms of surveillance. Gotti was just too powerful, until people started to turn, including his underboss, Sammy Gravano, who sadly doesn't feature in the documentary despite living to tell the tale. Law enforcement revel in giving themselves a pat on the back when they feature, but even the criminal players involved in the case admit they deserve the praise. As do the filmmakers for this stunning portrayal of one of the toughest investigations into mob activity ever.